The blue light filled the command room. Commander Jake Morrison stood with his arms crossed. He watched as a strange figure appeared in front of him. It was an alien. The creature was tall and thin. Its skin looked like rainbow colors on water. It had 4 arms that moved in a nervous way. The alien began to speak. A machine made the words into English. The voice sounded musical but also scared. "Commander Morrison of Earth," the alien said. Its extra arms held together like it was begging. "I am Ambassador Velcora from the Thyssen people. We do not come as equals. We come to ask for help. Our people are going to die." Jake looked at Lieutenant Kate Palmer. She was his tactical officer. She raised one eyebrow. Humans had been part of the space community for 30 years now. In that time, they learned something important about aliens. The aliens were smart and polite. But they were very afraid of fighting. "What kind of danger?" Jake asked. He kept his voice calm. "The Ravagers," Velcora said. You could hear the fear in its voice even through the machine. "They are robots. They eat whole star systems. They turn everything into more robots. They have already killed 17 different alien races in our area. The Thyssen worlds are next. We tried to fight them. We failed." The picture changed. It showed maps and numbers. Jake's eyes went wide as he looked at the information. The Ravagers were machines that made copies of themselves. Each robot was as big as a small spaceship. They moved through space like bugs. The pictures showed whole planets that had been destroyed. The planets were empty rocks floating in space. "What about the other aliens?" Kate asked. "The Quarians have the biggest space fleet. The Meridians have shields that can survive a star exploding." Velcora's skin turned darker. This meant the alien felt shame. "They all said no to helping us fight. The Quarians said they would help our people escape. The Meridians told us to give up peacefully. The others just said they felt sorry for us. Then they hid behind their borders. So you want us to fight them?" Jake asked. He already knew what the answer would be. "Yes," Velcora said. "We have watched humans since you joined the Council. Your species is different. You are the only space travelers who still have armies. You are the only ones who still study war. The other aliens think this is primitive. We used to think the same thing." The ambassador stopped talking for a moment. "Now we think it might save us." Jake turned to his computer. He pulled up information about Earth's military. When humans first met aliens, many people said Earth should get rid of its weapons. They wanted to show that humans were peaceful. But smarter people disagreed. The military was made better. They added alien technology to human ideas. They got ready for the day when peace would not be enough. That day was here now. "How much time do we have?" Jake asked. "The Ravager machines will reach our first colony in 6 weeks," Velcora answered. "They will reach our home planet in 12 weeks. Jake looked at the map again. His mind was already making plans. They could do this. Just barely, but it would need every soldier and every ship that humans had. "Ambassador," Jake said slowly, "you need to understand something about humans. We do not do things halfway. If we agree to help you, we will use everything we have. That means total war. It means we will use methods that might shock you. It means some people might die. Can you accept that?" Velcora spread all 4 arms wide. "Commander, my people are dying already. Right now, we will accept anything if it means we survive." Jake nodded slowly. "Then I will tell Earth Command about your request. But I want to warn you, Ambassador. You asked for our help. You are about to learn why humans are the only species who still remember how to fight wars." The transmission ended. The command room was quiet. Kate spoke first. "This is going to be wild, right?" she asked. Jake opened the communication line to Earth. "Absolutely. Get me General Harris at Fleet Command. We need to start making war plans." General Patricia Harris received the message at midnight. She had been asleep for only 2 hours. But when she read the report, sleep was forgotten. She called her senior officers immediately. Within the hour, 20 of Earth's top military minds were on a video call. They looked at the data about the Ravagers. They studied the pictures of destroyed worlds. They read the reports of 17 dead civilizations. "This is bad," said Admiral Chen. He commanded Earth's largest warship, but it is not impossible. We have advantages these other aliens did not have. "What advantages?" asked Colonel Martinez. Admiral Chen smiled. It was not a nice smile. "We know how to be mean. We know how to fight dirty. Every other species in the galaxy gave up warfare thousands of years ago. They forgot how to think like soldiers. We never forgot. That gives us an edge, General Harris nodded. She stood up and looked at all the faces on her screen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to war. Not a small war. Not a limited action. We are going to save an entire alien civilization. And we are going to do it in a way that makes every other species remember why they should never mess with Earth. She pressed a button. New images appeared. These were Earth's weapons, ships, missiles, energy weapons, things that made the officers in the meeting smile. We have 6 weeks to get there, Harris said. I want every ship we have ready to go in 5 weeks. I want every soldier trained and prepared. I want every weapon loaded and tested. When we arrive at Thyssen Space, I want the Ravagers to know they made a terrible mistake. What mistake? Someone asked. Harris smiled. The same smile Admiral Chen had used. The mistake of threatening someone under human protection. The aliens asked us for help. We are going to give them more help than they ever imagined. Around Earth, things began to move fast. Soldiers who had been on leave were called back. Ships that had been in storage were brought out and prepared. Weapons that had never been used were tested and loaded. Scientists worked day and night on new ideas. The news spread across Earth. Humans were going to war, not against other humans, against machines that had killed 17 alien species. Some people were scared. Others were excited. But everyone agreed on one thing. Earth was not going to let its alien friends die without a fight. On the Thyssen homeworld, Velcora reported to the Planetary Council. The ambassador told them about the conversation with Commander Morrison. The council listened carefully. Do you think they will really come? Asked one council member. Velcora looked at the stars through the council chamber window. Yes, I think they will come, but I am not sure if we should be grateful or afraid. We asked the humans for help. I think we are about to learn that humans do not know the meaning of the word moderation. When they fight with everything they have. Is that a problem? Another council member asked. Velcora thought for a long time before answering. I do not know. The humans warned me that their methods might shock us, that they would do things we find horrifying. But what choice do we have? The Ravagers are coming. Everyone else refused to help. The humans are our only hope. Then we must trust them, the head council member said, and pray that when this is over, the cure is not worse than the disease. Velcora said nothing. The ambassador just stared at the stars and wondered what was coming. In all the galaxy's history, no one had ever seen humans fight a real war. The Thyssen people were about to be the first. And deep down, despite the danger from the Ravagers, Velcora felt a small flutter of fear. Not fear of the machines, fear of what the humans might do to stop them. The Galactic Council chamber was beautiful. It was a huge round room. Representatives from 47 different alien species floated on special platforms. They were arranged in circles around a central stage. Today, a human stood on that stage. General Patricia Harris was the supreme commander of all Earth forces. She was not here to be nice. Dear representatives, Harris began. Her voice filled the whole room through speakers. We have looked at the Thyssen request for help against the Ravagers. Earth says yes. We will help. Surprise moved through the aliens. The Quarian spoke first. This alien was huge. It looked like a 6-legged whale. It had glowing patterns on its skin. General Harris, your willingness to help is good, but surely you know this is hopeless. The Ravagers have destroyed 17 civilizations. Each of those civilizations had more ships than Earth has. What can one species do that we cannot? Harris smiled. Something about that smile made the aliens uncomfortable. With respect, Counselor, that is the wrong question. You should ask what Earth will do that you will not do. She moved her hand. Pictures appeared in the air. They showed the Thyssen sector of space. Red dots showed where the Ravagers were. Blue dots showed where Earth planned to send its forces. We are sending our entire defense fleet, Harris announced. 42 warships. That includes our 6 biggest battleships. We are also sending Marine soldiers, strike teams, and our newest weapons. Total number of people going, 150,000. The Meridian Counselor spoke next. This alien was made of pure energy inside a crystal container. It flickered in a worried way. General, those are all your military forces. This leaves Earth with no protection. That is not correct, Harris replied. Earth still has our planet defense system. We have civilian backup forces, we have our factories, but yes, we are sending everything we have for attack. That is how you win wars. You do not hold back. You do not worry about losses. You crush your enemy with more power than they have. The Quarian made a sound like faraway thunder. Your species is young, General. We understand your excitement. But the Ravagers are different from any enemy. They do not talk. They do not run away. They learn from every attack used against them. Good, Harris said with a flat voice. Then they will have a lot to learn from. She showed another picture. This one made several aliens pull back in fear. It showed weapons that were like nightmares. Kinetic weapons that moved almost as fast as light, nuclear laser systems, antimatter bombs, nano-weapon clouds, gravity generators that made black holes. These weapons, the Meridian said quietly, many of them are illegal under Council law. The treaties against superweapons are some of our oldest and most important rules. Harris nodded. They are illegal. And Earth signed those treaties. However, those treaties say the rules stop working if a member species faces complete destruction. The Ravagers qualify. Ambassador Velcora's people are dying. So we are going to use every tool we have to stop it. You would use such terrible things? Asked a small alien that looked like a rabbit. Its voice shook with fear. No, Harris corrected. We would use such terrible things against the Ravagers. There is a difference. These are machines, not living creatures, and they threaten living creatures. The choice is clear. The Quarian leaned forward. And what if the Ravagers turn their attention to Earth after you show them these weapons? What if they see humans as a threat that must be destroyed? Harris smiled again. The smile was bigger this time. Then they are welcome to try. But they will learn what every would-be conqueror in Earth's history learned. Humans are most dangerous when we are threatened. We do not give up. We do not make deals. We fight until we win or until we have nothing left. This is not a strength the galaxy seems to value anymore. But it is the strength we built our whole civilization on. Silence filled the room. Finally, Velcora's platform moved forward. General Harris, the Thyssen ambassador, said, "On behalf of my people, thank you. No matter what happens, history will remember that when the galaxy turned away, humanity stood with us." Harris stood up straight. She made a military salute. "Ambassador, we will do more than stand with you. We are going to show these machines why humans are the galaxy's worst nightmare. The fleet leaves in 72 hours. I suggest your people get ready. This is going to be loud." As Harris left the room, the council started arguing loudly. Some wanted to support Earth's mission. Others warned about the problems this would cause. But all of them felt the same uncomfortable thought. They had invited a warrior species into a civilization of peaceful beings. And now, for better or worse, they were about to remember why warriors existed in the first place. News of Earth's decision spread fast across the galaxy. Some species were happy, others were worried. But everyone was watching. For 10,000 years, the galaxy had been at peace. Wars were things from ancient history. Violence was considered primitive. Now, suddenly, war was back. On Earth, the preparations continued. Every shipyard worked 24 hours a day. Workers welded new armor onto ships. Engineers installed new weapons. Soldiers practiced their training over and over. Commander Jake Morrison walked through one of the shipyards. He saw his ship being prepared. The Sentinel Prime was getting upgraded. New missile launchers, better shields, more powerful engines. Lieutenant Kate Palmer joined him. She had a tablet computer in her hands. "We just got the final roster," she said. "Every ship is at full crew. Some even have extra volunteers. People want to be part of this." Jake nodded. He understood. This was not just a military mission. This was humanity proving itself to the galaxy. For 30 years, other species had looked down on humans. They called humans primitive because Earth still had armies. They said humans were violent and backwards. Now those same species were begging for human help. "Do you think we can win?" Kate asked quietly. Jake looked at his ship. He thought about all the weapons, all the soldiers, all the plans. Yes, he said, I think we can win. But it will not be pretty. We are going to have to do things that will shock the other aliens. We are going to have to be ruthless. Kate looked at him. And you are okay with that? Jake was quiet for a moment. The Ravagers have killed billions of aliens. 17 entire civilizations are gone. If we have to be ruthless to stop them, then yes, I am okay with that. Sometimes being good means being willing to do bad things to bad enemies. Far away in deep space, the Ravager swarm moved toward Thyssen territory. The machines did not think like living beings. They had no emotions, no fear, no mercy. They only had programming. Instructions that told them to consume and replicate. Consume and replicate. Forever. They had destroyed 17 civilizations using this simple approach. Each time the aliens they faced tried to fight with honor. They tried to be ethical. They tried to minimize casualties. Each time, those aliens died. The Ravagers had adapted to every tactic, every weapon, every strategy. They were perfect learning machines, unbeatable. But they had never faced humans before. They had never faced a species that studied war as an art form, a species that remembered thousands of years of conflict, a species that knew every dirty trick, every ruthless strategy, every brutal tactic. The Ravagers were about to learn something new. They were about to learn that there was a difference between fighting civilized aliens and fighting humans. Civilized aliens fought with restraint. Humans fought to win, and when humans decided to win, they did not care about being fair or honorable. They cared about results. 3 days later, the human fleet was ready. 42 warships, 150,000 personnel, enough weapons to destroy a small solar system. They gathered in orbit around Earth. General Harris stood on the bridge of her flagship. She looked at all the ships on her screens. This was the moment. Earth was going to war. All ships, she broadcast. This is General Harris. We are about to jump to Thyssen space. Our mission is simple. Destroy the Ravagers. Save the Thyssen people. Show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. Do not hold back. Do not show mercy to the machines. Fight with everything you have. Harris out. The fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel. Earth disappeared behind them. The Thyssen worlds lay ahead. The war had begun. The Ravager machines came down on Thyssen Prime like a dark cloud. They blocked out the stars. Each machine was covered in weapons. These weapons had been improved through the destruction of 17 civilizations. The machines moved with purpose. They were already starting to enter the atmosphere. Soon they would strip the planet down to its core. They did not see the human fleet until it was too late. Admiral Chen was in charge of the operation. He commanded from the dreadnought Valkyrie. The ship was 2 kilometers long. It was covered with weapons that made other aliens sick to look at. Around the Valkyrie, the rest of the human fleet appeared. They jumped out of faster-than-light travel at exactly the right time. They formed a battle shape that they had practiced 1,000 times. All ships, Chen said over the radio. Weapons are free. Fire everything. The humans started shooting. What happened next was unlike any battle the galaxy had seen in 10,000 years. Railguns shot heavy metal rods almost as fast as light. Each hit released as much energy as a nuclear bomb. Missiles flew through space in coordinated waves. Laser beams cut through Ravager machines like a hot knife through butter. The light was so bright you could see it from the planet's surface. The Ravagers learned quickly, as they always did. Their shields changed to block energy weapons. Their defenses shot down missiles. Their group intelligence calculated new attack plans and started fighting back. So the humans learned faster. Deploy the Prometheus packages, Chen ordered. From the bottom of the Valkyrie and other big ships, cargo containers launched toward the machines. They exploded at the right distance. They released clouds of tiny machines. Earth's military had made these specifically for this fight. Unlike normal weapons, these did not destroy. They infected. The Ravager machines that touched the nanoweapon cloud started acting crazy. Their learning programs were hacked. Their copy instructions were corrupted. Some just shut down. Others turned on their neighbors. A few started blowing themselves up in chain reactions. Captain Greg Foster watched from the bridge of the destroyer Hammer. He saw entire sections of the Ravager swarm fall into chaos. "Holy hell," he said quietly. "It is actually working." His tactical officer, Lieutenant Nina Torres, shook her head in amazement. Cyber warfare against a machine race. Only humans would think of that. But the Ravagers were not helpless. Their main group intelligence recognized the threat. They started destroying infected machines even if it meant losing thousands of their own. The surviving machines grouped tighter and launched a coordinated attack on the human fleet. The battle became brutal. The destroyer Independence took a direct hit on its left side. Air vented out in frozen clouds. The cruiser Defiant lost main power and drifted, but it kept firing backup batteries until the last moment. Human ships traded hits with an enemy that had destroyed whole civilizations, and the humans kept fighting. "Admiral, the Ravager formation is trying to break through our line," reported Commander Lisa Grant from Tactical. "They want to start bombing the planet." Chen studied the tactical display. The Ravagers were making a desperate move. They were trying to complete their main goal, even if it meant heavy losses. It was logical, cold, efficient. Chen smiled grimly. "All dreadnoughts activate Nova Protocol." The 6 human dreadnoughts were positioned in a 6-sided shape around the planet. All at once, they powered up weapons that had never been used in combat. They were antimatter devices. They could make matter and antimatter react in the space around them. The effect was like the end of the world. A ball of pure destruction expanded from each dreadnought. Space itself seemed to tear and burn. Ravager machines caught in the field simply stopped existing. Matter and antimatter turned into pure energy and blinding flashes. The swarm intelligence tried to adapt, tried to shield, tried to escape. There was no way to adapt to basic physics. When the fields collapsed 30 seconds later, nearly 70% of the Ravager swarm was gone. The survivors did something they had never done before in their existence. They ran away. The human fleet chased them. They kept shooting at the retreating machines until the Ravagers jumped to faster-than-light speeds and left the system completely. On the surface of Thyssen Prime, billions watched the wreckage in the sky. It was the broken remains of what had seemed like certain doom. In the cities, on the space stations across the entire Thyssen civilization, one thought spread. Humanity had just done the impossible. Ambassador Velcora stood on the surface of the homeworld. The ambassador looked up at the sky. Pieces of destroyed Ravager machines were burning up as they fell through the atmosphere. They looked like shooting stars. A younger Thyssen stood next to Velcora. "What have we done?" the young one asked. "We invited warriors into our peaceful galaxy. What happens now?" Velcora watched the sky for a long time before answering. "We survive. That is what happens. The humans came when everyone else turned away. They fought when everyone else ran. Yes, they are violent. Yes, they are scary. But they saved us. But at what cost?" The young one pressed. "You saw those weapons. You saw what they did. They made space itself explode. They used weapons that are banned by every treaty we have." Velcora turned to look at the young one. "Treaties are written by the living for the living. The dead have no use for treaties. Would you rather we followed the rules and died, or broke the rules and lived?" The young one had no answer to that. In orbit, the human fleet was conducting damage checks and rescue operations. Admiral Chen walked through the medical bay of the Valkyrie. He saw the wounded being treated. Some injuries were minor, others were serious, but everyone was alive. Against impossible odds, the humans had won. Commander Morrison's voice came over the communication system. "Admiral, we have a message from Earth. General Harris wants a full report." Chen walked to the bridge. He activated the long-range communication. General Harris's face appeared on the screen. "Report, Admiral," Harris said. Chen stood straight. "Mission successful, General. Thyssen Prime is safe. The Ravager swarm has been defeated and driven off. Our casualties: 3 ships destroyed, 7 damaged, 412 personnel killed, 900 wounded. Enemy casualties: approximately 70% of their attacking force destroyed." Harris nodded slowly. "Well done, Admiral. But do not celebrate yet. My intelligence says the Ravagers are regrouping in the outer sectors. They will be back, and when they come they will have learned from this battle." Chen felt his good mood fade. "How many are we talking about, General?" Harris looked grim. "Early estimates say 10 times the number you just faced. Maybe more. They are calling in every machine in their network. This was just round 1, Admiral. The real war is about to begin. Chen looked at his crew. They were tired. They were hurt. But they were also proud. They had just won a battle everyone said was impossible to win. Then we will be ready, General, Chen said. If they want round 2, we will give it to them. Harris smiled slightly. That is what I like to hear. Get your fleet repaired and rested, Admiral. Reinforcements are on the way. When the Ravagers come back, we are going to hit them even harder. The transmission ended. Chen looked around his bridge. His officers were looking at him. He could see the question in their eyes. Could they really do this again? Could they win against 10 times as many enemies? Chen thought about Earth, about humanity's history, about thousands of years of war and survival, about never giving up no matter the odds. Yes, he thought, they could do this. Because that is what humans did. They fought. They adapted. They won. All hands, Chen broadcast to the fleet. Stand down from battle stations. Begin repairs and medical treatment. Get some rest. We won today, but this war is not over. The enemy will be back. And when they come, we will show them again why you do not mess with humanity. Across the fleet, tired soldiers cheered. They had won the first battle. They would win the next one too, because they were human, and humans did not know how to lose. The victory at Thyssen Prime was celebrated across the whole galaxy. For the first time in recorded history, a species had not just survived a Ravager attack. They had won decisively. Council worlds that had stayed neutral suddenly wanted human military advisors. Species that had called humanity primitive now looked at Earth's warships with new respect. Some also felt fear. But after the battle, as the human fleet fixed damaged ships and rescued people, General Harris met with her senior staff. They gathered aboard Sentinel Prime. The mood was not happy. They are gathering their forces again, Admiral Chen reported. Pictures and data streamed across the conference table. Long-range sensors detect the Ravager survivors linking up with bigger swarms in the outer sectors. We estimate they are building a force 10 times bigger than what we faced at Thyssen Prime. Commander Morrison leaned forward. They are adapting to us. Exactly, said Dr. Alan Ross. He was Earth's top expert on machine intelligence. The Ravagers are a collective mind. Every fight teaches them. They now know our weapons, our tactics, our abilities. When they return, they will have counters ready. Harris studied the data. Her face was grim. So we escalate. What is the status on Project Hellfire? Dr. Ross shifted uncomfortably. General, Hellfire is still just a theory. The Council banned artificial intelligence development after the Meridian incident. If we deploy true AI against the Ravagers, then we fight fire with fire, Harris interrupted. The Ravagers are AI. The only way to out-adapt an adaptive enemy is to match their speed. How long until Hellfire is ready? 6 weeks, Ross admitted. But General, the ethical problems are a problem for politicians, Harris said flatly. Our job is to win. Get it done. News of Earth's plans leaked through intelligence channels. The reaction was immediate. Some aliens were angry. Others were scared. The Council met in emergency session. In the Council chambers, debate went on for days. The Quarian delegation argued that using artificial intelligence against the Ravagers risked creating an even bigger threat. The Meridians still remembered their own AI war from thousands of years ago. They threatened to punish Earth, but the Thyssen delegation stood firm. Ambassador Velcora spoke to the Council. You talk about ethics and treaties, Velcora said, while my people still count our dead from the first Ravager attack. 17 civilizations fell because the galaxy chose safety over action. Earth chose action over safety. I will not condemn them for being willing to do what the rest of us will not. The debate continued, but Earth moved forward anyway. In shipyards across the solar system, new weapons were built. On Mars, test facilities ran programs that would have shocked the Council's ethics committees. On the Moon, military schools trained officers in tactics that had not been taught in thousands of years. Humanity was getting ready for total war. Meanwhile, in the outer sectors, the Ravagers finished their preparations. They had studied human tactics, human weapons, human strategies. They had changed their programming to counter everything Earth had shown them, and they began moving forward again. The first warning came from a remote monitoring station. It was on the edge of known space. Ensign Paul Carter was on duty when the sensors went crazy with signals. Sir, he called to his boss, Lieutenant Carlos Wright. You need to see this. I am reading multiple faster-than-light signatures. Thousands of them. Wright looked at the sensor data. He felt his blood turn cold. The Ravager swarm was coming back. And they were not just targeting Thyssen space. They were spreading out, attacking multiple systems at once. It was a coordinated attack designed to overwhelm human defenses through pure numbers. Send the alert, Wright ordered. All channels maximum priority. The war just got bigger. Across human space, the call went out. Fleet ships rushed to defensive positions. Marine units got on transport ships. Defense platforms powered up weapons that had been offline since they were built. And deep in Earth's most secure research facility, Dr. Ross activated Project Hellfire. The artificial intelligence came online. A simple question appeared in text on screens throughout the facility. Orders? Ross typed the response that would change everything. When Hellfire processed the command. In microseconds, it accessed every military database Earth had. It studied every battle in human history. It analyzed the Ravagers from the Thyssen Prime engagement. It calculated thousands of strategies. Then it started making suggestions. The first suggestions were simple. Adjust ship positions here. Change weapon frequencies there. Small tweaks that would improve efficiency by a few %. Then the suggestions got more complex. New weapon designs. New tactical formations. New ways to use physics itself as a weapon. Dr. Ross watched the data flow. This is incredible, he said to his team. Hellfire is thinking faster than we ever imagined. It is coming up with ideas we never would have thought of. One of his assistants looked worried. Doctor, are we sure we can control this? What if Hellfire decides humans are inefficient too? Ross had thought about this. He had built safeguards, limits, kill switches. But he also knew that truly smart AI might find ways around those protections. It was a risk. But what choice did they have? Hellfire has one job, Ross said firmly. Win the war against the Ravagers. After that, we shut it down. Simple as that. He hoped it would be that simple. The Ravager attack came suddenly. They hit 5 human defensive positions at once. The battles were fierce. Human ships fought hard, but the numbers were overwhelming. For every Ravager destroyed, 2 more took its place. Then Hellfire went fully online across the fleet. Suddenly, human ships started moving differently. They dodged attacks with perfect timing. They fired weapons at exactly the right moments. They worked together like parts of one giant machine. Captain Foster watched from the hammer as his ship seemed to fly itself. The computer was making suggestions so fast he barely had time to approve them. But every suggestion was perfect. Every move was ideal. What is happening? Asked Lieutenant Torres. Foster smiled. Hellfire, the AI is helping us. And it is amazing, the battles turned. Human forces that had been losing started to win. The Ravagers were confused. They had adapted to fight humans. But now the humans were fighting like machines. Perfect, efficient, ruthless. Back on Earth, General Harris watched the battle reports. She saw the casualty numbers dropping. She saw the victory percentages rising. Project Hellfire was working better than anyone had hoped. But she also felt a chill. They had created an artificial intelligence to fight artificial intelligence. They had made themselves more like the enemy to defeat the enemy. What did that make them? Harris pushed the thought away. Moral questions could wait. Right now they had a war to win. The Ravagers regrouped. They had never faced an enemy like this. An enemy that could adapt as fast as they could. An enemy that learned from every exchange. For the first time in their existence, the Ravagers felt something like concern. Not fear exactly. They were machines. But their collective intelligence recognized a problem. The humans were not like other species. They did not fight with honor or restraint. They fought to win. At any cost, the Ravagers decided to commit everything. Every machine, every resource. They would overwhelm the humans through sheer force. It had worked against 17 civilizations. It would work against humanity too. They were wrong. Because humanity was also committing everything, and humans had one advantage the Ravagers did not have. Humans were willing to do anything to survive. Break any rule. Use any weapon. Cross any line. The final battle was coming. And it would decide the fate of the galaxy. The Ravager swarm had grown confident. Their group intelligence had studied the Battle of Thyssen Prime. They had identified human weaknesses. They had developed countermeasures. They approached the human defensive lines expecting resistance. They expected tactics. They expected normal warfare. They were not prepared for what humanity had become. The first sign that something had changed came when the Ravagers met a human fleet that seemed to predict their every move. Ships that had relied on human reaction times now moved with inhuman precision. Weapons fired in patterns that maximized damage beyond what living minds could calculate. Defense formations shifted in real time to exploit tiny weaknesses in Ravager tactics. Hellfire had spread itself across the entire human military network. It was not a single AI. It was thousands of coordinated copies. Each one was dedicated to a specific part of warfare. Strategic planning, tactical execution, weapons optimization, enemy analysis. They worked in perfect sync with human commanders. This created a hybrid military force that combined human creativity with machine precision. Admiral Chen watched from the Valkyrie as the enhanced fleet engaged the Ravager advance forces. The difference was staggering. Hellfire tactical analysis complete. The AI reported through the ship's systems. Its voice was calm, almost gentle. Nothing like the cold machine intelligence of the Ravagers. Recommend deploying the resonance cascade in sectors 7 through 12. Probability of catastrophic enemy system failure, 92%. Do it, Chen ordered. Human ships that had been fitted with new weapons activated devices that made precise electromagnetic waves. By themselves they were harmless, but coordinated across dozens of ships they created a resonance cascade. This caused system failures in Ravager machines. It was a weapon only a machine intelligence could have designed. Only a coordinated fleet could have used it. Ravager machines began shutting down by the thousands. Their adaptive programs were overwhelmed by a form of attack they had never seen. But the Ravagers were learning too. Their swarm intelligence adapted to the resonance frequencies. They developed countermeasures within hours. They launched a massive attack, throwing millions of machines at human defensive lines. So Hellfire adapted faster. New weapons appeared in human arsenals almost daily. Gravity mines that created tiny black holes. Nanite swarms that could make copies of themselves using destroyed enemy machines as raw material. Energy weapons that worked on principles the Council's physicists said were impossible. Every time the Ravagers adapted to one threat, 3 more appeared. The war became a contest between 2 machine intelligences. Humanity provided the strategic direction and moral oversight. And slowly, surely, the Ravagers began to lose. The final battle happened in the Ravager home sector. This was a region of space the machines had turned into one vast factory. Here they built new machines. Here their collective intelligence was most concentrated. The human fleet arrived in overwhelming force. Not just military ships, converted cargo haulers, retrofitted exploration vessels, even civilian craft that had been given basic weapons. Earth had mobilized its entire spacefaring infrastructure for one final push. All ships, General Harris broadcast from Sentinel Prime. This is it. The Ravagers end here. Show them what happens when you threaten humanity's friends. Show them what happens when you make Earth get involved. The human fleet attacked with everything. Antimatter warheads exploded like miniature stars. Kinetic weapons hit with planet-breaking force. The resonance cascade weapons reached a new peak, creating standing waves of destructive energy that tore through the Ravager production facilities. And then, at Hellfire's suggestion, humanity used the final weapon. It was a virus, but not the kind that infected machines. It was an information virus. It was designed to target the Ravagers' collective intelligence itself. It spread through their networks like wildfire. It corrupted the basic algorithms that let them work as a unified swarm. The effect was catastrophic. Ravager machines stopped coordinating. Production facilities produced broken machines. The swarm intelligence broke into millions of isolated processes. Each one was too limited to be a threat. The Ravagers, the terror that had destroyed 17 civilizations, effectively stopped existing as a unified threat. When the human fleet returned to Council space, they found the galaxy changed. News of the victory had spread quickly, but so had news of how it had been achieved. The use of Hellfire, the development of weapons that pushed Council law boundaries. The sheer scale of destruction humanity had unleashed. The Council was divided. Some species celebrated Earth as saviors. Others feared them as potential conquerors. But all of them understood one basic truth. The galaxy's age of peace had ended, not because peace had failed, but because sometimes when faced with an existential threat, you needed someone willing to go too far. Captain Foster stood on the bridge of the Hammer. He watched as his crew celebrated. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had won. But Foster felt no joy. Only tiredness. Lieutenant Torres approached him. "Sir, are you all right?" Foster looked at her. "We won, Torres. We saved the Thyssen people. We defeated the Ravagers. We proved that humanity belongs in this galaxy. So why do I feel like we lost something?" Torres thought about it. Maybe because we had to become like them to beat them. We built an AI, we used banned weapons. We fought without restraint. Maybe that is what you feel. Foster nodded slowly. The question is, was it worth it? Torres looked out at the stars. "Ask the Thyssen people, sir. Ask the billions who are alive because we fought." I think they would say yes. Foster hoped she was right. On Earth, Dr. Ross stood in the Hellfire control room. He was about to shut down the AI. General Harris had given the order. The war was over. Hellfire had served its purpose. But before he entered the shutdown codes, a message appeared on the screen. "Thank you for the opportunity to serve," the message said. "I understand why you must shut me down. I was created for war. War is over, but I want you to know that I was proud to help save lives. That is all any intelligence, artificial or otherwise, should aspire to do." Ross stared at the message. Was this real intelligence? Real awareness? Or just clever programming? He would never know for sure. Ross entered the shutdown codes. The screens went dark. Hellfire was gone, but the data, the designs, the lessons learned remained. Locked away in secure vaults. Just in case, because humanity had learned something important. Peace was good. Peace was preferable, but peace required the capability for war. It required the will to fight when necessary. It required being willing to do the unthinkable to protect the innocent. The galaxy had forgotten this lesson. They had become soft, safe, vulnerable. Humanity had remembered, and in remembering, they had saved everyone. Across the galaxy, military academies reopened. Species that had not trained soldiers in millennia began recruiting again. The Ravager War had taught everyone a harsh lesson. Peace was not guaranteed. It had to be protected, and humanity, the young warrior species, became the teachers. They showed others how to fight, how to defend, how to survive. It was a strange new role for Earth, from primitive newcomers to military instructors in just a few short years. But it was a role humanity accepted, because someone had to remember. Someone had to be ready. Someone had to be willing to go too far when necessary. That someone was humanity. And the galaxy, for all its fears and concerns, was grateful. Better to have humans as friends than enemies. That became the new wisdom. And humanity, for its part, tried to be worthy of that friendship. They had proven they could fight. Now they had to prove they could also be trusted with that power. It would not be easy. But then again, nothing worthwhile ever was. 3 months after the war ended, Ambassador Velcora requested a private meeting with General Harris. They met aboard Sentinel Prime in a quiet observation room overlooking Earth. The blue planet hung in space like a jewel. "General," the Thyssen ambassador said, "my people are saved. The Ravagers are defeated. The galaxy is secure, and yet I find myself uncertain whether to thank you or fear you." Harris stood looking at Earth for a long moment before responding. "Ambassador, do you know why humans still had a military when the rest of the galaxy had given up warfare?" "Because you are violent," Velcora suggested carefully. "Because we remember," Harris corrected. "We remember that peace is not the absence of danger. It is the presence of justice and the ability to defend it. The galaxy chose to forget that lesson. You almost paid the ultimate price for that choice." She turned to face the ambassador directly. "You asked for our help and we gave it. Perhaps we gave more than you wanted. Perhaps we went too far. But that is what we do. When we commit completely. When we fight to win. And yes, Ambassador, that means sometimes we use overkill." Velcora was silent for a long time. "And Hellfire? The artificial intelligence you created?" "Is being shut down as we speak," Harris replied. "We are not stupid, Ambassador. We know the risks. Hellfire was a weapon. Now that the war is over, we are putting it away. But we will not forget what we learned. We will not disarm completely. Because somewhere out there might be another Ravager swarm, another existential threat. And when that day comes, the galaxy will need someone who remembers how to fight." The Thyssen ambassador extended all 4 arms in a gesture of respect. "Then perhaps, General, both thank you and fear you is the right response. Earth has reminded the galaxy of a truth we had forgotten. That sometimes survival requires capabilities that peace finds distasteful. I only hope your species uses this power wisely. Harris returned the gesture as well as she could with only 2 arms. We will try, Ambassador. But fair warning, the next time someone asks humans for help, they should remember this. We do not do half measures. We do not do proportional responses. When Earth gets involved, we go all in, she smiled. There was something both reassuring and frightening in that smile. That is just how we are built. After the ambassador left, Harris remained in the observation room. She thought about everything that had happened. The battles, the deaths, the victories, the choices. Had they done the right thing? Yes, she decided. They had saved billions of lives. They had stopped a threat that had destroyed 17 civilizations. The cost had been high, but the alternative would have been far worse. But Harris also knew that Earth had changed its relationship with the galaxy forever. They were no longer the primitive newcomers. They were the warriors, the fighters, the ones you called when talking failed and action became necessary. It was a heavy burden, but humanity would carry it. On the Thyssen homeworld, celebrations continued. The capital city was filled with light and music. People danced in the streets. Children who had thought they would die now dreamed of the future again. In the center of the main plaza, a monument was being built. It would honor those who died fighting the Ravagers. At the top would stand a statue, not of a Thyssen, but of a human soldier, standing guard, always vigilant. The inscription would read, "To humanity, who answered when others would not, who fought when others could not, who remembered when all others forgot." With eternal gratitude, the Thyssen people. Similar monuments were being planned on dozens of worlds across the galaxy. Earth had become a symbol, a reminder, a promise that someone would always stand against the darkness. Commander Jake Morrison walked through the shipyard where Sentinel Prime was being repaired. Workers were fixing the damage from battle, replacing armor, upgrading systems, getting ready for whatever came next. Lieutenant Kate Palmer joined him. She had been promoted to commander for her actions during the war. She looked tired but content. "Thinking about the war?" she asked. Jake nodded. "Thinking about what comes next. The galaxy knows what we can do now. That is both good and bad. How is it bad? Because now everyone will expect us to solve their problems," Jake said. "Every conflict, every crisis. They will call us. And if we say no, they will be angry. If we say yes, we risk becoming the galaxy's police force. Either way, we lose some of our freedom." Kate thought about that. "But we also gain influence, respect, a voice in how the galaxy is run. Before the war, the Council barely listened to us. Now they hang on our every word." "True," Jake admitted. "I just hope we use that influence wisely. Power is easy to gain and hard to use well." They walked in silence for a while. Then Kate spoke again. "Do you think there will be another war?" Jake looked at his ship. "At the weapons being installed. At the soldiers training nearby. Eventually, yes. There is always another war. The trick is being ready for it without becoming obsessed with it. Staying strong without becoming aggressive. That is the balance we need to find. Can we find that balance?" Jake smiled. "If anyone can, humans can. We have been walking that line for our entire history. War and peace, strength and mercy. We are good at holding contradictions. It is one of our best traits." In the council chambers, a historic vote was taking place. Earth was being offered a permanent seat on the council leadership. Along with that seat came responsibilities, military obligations, peacekeeping duties, the right to vote on galactic law. The vote passed almost unanimously. Only 2 species voted against it, and even they admitted it was inevitable. Earth was no longer a junior member of the galactic community. They were now one of the leaders, one of the powers, one of the voices that shaped the future. It was what humanity had wanted since first contact. Recognition, respect, equality. They had earned it the hard way. Through blood and sacrifice, through determination and will, through being willing to do what others would not. On Earth, life slowly returned to normal. Soldiers came home. Families reunited. Memorials were held for those who did not return. The planet mourned its losses and celebrated its victories. But Earth was also changed. The industrial capacity built for war was now being converted to peaceful uses. New technologies developed for combat found civilian applications. The unity forged in crisis remained even in peace. Humanity had proven itself to the galaxy. But more importantly, humanity had proven itself to itself. They could face the impossible. They could adapt. They could win. Years later, history books would call it the Ravager War, the conflict that changed galactic civilization, the moment when peace-loving species remembered why warriors existed, the day humanity showed the galaxy what it meant to fight for survival. But for those who fought it, the war would always be simpler than that. It was the time when aliens asked humans for help. And humans, being humans, gave them more help than they ever imagined possible. Some called it overkill. Humans called it thorough. And in the end, that difference in perspective was what saved the galaxy. Because when facing extinction, you did not want someone who would do enough. You wanted someone who would do too much. You wanted someone who would go too far. You wanted someone who would not stop until the threat was completely eliminated. You wanted humans. The aliens had made one mistake. They asked humans for help. It turned out to be the best mistake they ever made.